Welcome, Local District Central families. Thank you for joining us. Bienvenidos a todos. Muchas gracias por conectar con nosotros. Muy bienvenidos. We're going to get started shortly. We're just allowing folks to come in. Vamos a empezar muy pronto. Estamos dejando que nuestros participantes entren al webinar de Zoom. Empezaremos muy pronto. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Thanks once again, everybody. I think we'll get started. Welcome to our Tech Talks and more. Today, we're going to be reviewing Back to Better, full in-person return for all students. Bienvenidos a nuestras charlas tecnológicas y más. Hoy vamos a estar repasando un regreso aún mejor, retorno completo en persona para todos los estudiantes. Y vamos a empezar. Next slide. Today we have interpretation services. If you would like to hear this presentation in Spanish, you would need to click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. You would select the language of preference for you, and you will engage and listen to the presentation in the language you select. Tenemos hoy servicios de interpretación. Para poder escuchar en español, haga clic en el símbolo del mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla. Seleccione el idioma que le gustaría escuchar, participará y escuchará la presentación en el idioma que seleccione. Next slide. We are having a webinar session today, and we will be taking questions and answers throughout our presentation. If you have a question, please go ahead and pose your question on the Q&A. We will answer as many as we can during the time frame that we are allotted. Thank you. Next slide. So before we start our session, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Teresa Reguin. I work with Parent and Community Engagement here at Local District Central. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. And we're going to take a little review of this back to school informational piece that we'll be taking Q&A for. And I know we're eager to learn more about what our new school year might look like. So with that, we're going to get started. We're not able to hear it at this time, Mr. Campbell. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We're trying to get our video to have some sound. Here we go. Seems like we're having technical difficulties. And your mic is off, right, Mr. Campbell? If you unmute yourself, that might be the problem. So as we know, our Zoom world and our webinar sessions have their own sometimes technical issues.
My mic is off. I just turned it on. I might have to stop sharing. I think I need to enable the sound prior to with sharing.
Okay, so maybe we'll I can share my screen. Let's see if I can get it on. Thank you,
Zoom
everyone.
world and our webinar sessions have their own sometimes technical.
Okay. Thank you for your patience, everybody. We will correct this technical piece and we'll get started. I'm going to share my screen. Team, if you could let me know you can hear and see. Can everybody see? Okay, great. Here we go.
I think it's on mute.
Okay, let me try this here.
The volume might be off.
Yes, hold on. There we go.
The new school year. As we know, you are.
We hear it now.
Hello, local district central families. Thank you for joining us today and welcome. We're already thinking about the new school year, as we know you are too. But today we're going to be reviewing coming back to better. Reviewing full in-person return for all students. Beginning of the new school year will be August 16, 2021. It's approaching us soon. We'd like to review some important information with you. Here we go. Back to school fall 2021-2022. As I mentioned, the new school year starts on Monday, August 16th. When we return, all students will have the opportunity to participate in full day on-campus, in-person instruction. That's great news. We're excited to all be coming back. Elementary school students will be on campus 5 days a week for a full day of in-person instruction with their teachers and classmates. The good news is that we will continue to have our after-school programs, and they will be available from the end of the school day until 6 p.m. This will help with supporting our families. Back to school for secondary. Middle school and high school students will be on campus also for 5 days a week for a full schedule of in-person instruction, changing classrooms for each period if necessary. Again, going back to full schedule for our secondary students and highlighting that we will have after-school programs until 6 p.m. from Beyond the Bell. Let's focus on coming back to better. We look forward to August 16th and a new beginning. The best place for students to learn is in a classroom, at school, and we will continue to do all we can to make sure classrooms are as safe as possible. Schools are ready to welcome back our students on campus with additional supports and programming to better serve our students. This is, again, back to better. Here are some of the programs that will be coming and services to your schools. Primary Promise is one of those. It will provide additional reading and math teachers in elementary schools. Additional teachers in secondary schools to provide more individualized instruction. Additional mental health services for students. More direct services for students with learning differences and disabilities. An increase in custodial staff to keep our schools clean and safe. And every student with computer and the internet access that they need. So again, a lot of supports and services as we come back to better. Now we know that safety in our schools environments is a very important point for our families. LA Unified has in place the highest set of safety standards of any school district in the nation. Air filtration systems have been upgraded in every school, and the air is filtered through the equivalent of an N95 mask. Schools have adequate supplies of masks and personal protective equipment. Custodial staff has been increased to keep schools clean and safe. and all students and staff on campus are tested regularly for COVID-19. That's also great news. Now for our next section, health and safety. LA Unified will continue to meet or exceed all state and local health guidelines and will continue to maintain the highest standards of safety of any school district in the nation. LA Unified will continue to operate under the guidelines from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, as well as those established by state and local health authorities. All students and staff on campus will continue to be tested regularly for COVID-19. Part of the safety measures is continuing to use the Daily Pass to complete daily health screenings. All of these systems will be put in place, and student safety and staff is a top priority once again. Now let's think about an online program. The online program is for families with medical, social-emotional, or other concerns. LAUSD offers an independent study program for students in kindergarten through 12th grade through the City of Angels Independent Study School. Students receive live daily instruction for half of the day and complete work independently when not learning with a teacher. Now, specialized programs such as dual language, magnet thematic instruction, IB, may not be available in this online program. For more information about the online programs offered by the City of Angels, you can visit their website at https://www.cityofangelschool.org/. Or you can call them directly at 323-415-8350. Now, if you have any additional questions, you can stay connected with us here at ldcentral.net. You can visit our website to connect to your communities of schools, in addition to Local District Central. You can also give us a call at 213-241-0126 or send us an email at ldcentral@lausd.net. If you want to reach our website, quick and easy, we have the QR code here at the right side of our screen. I'll give you a moment to either take a screenshot or use your phone to access the information. Again, we're here to stay connected with you and answer any questions you might have. It's been a
Okay,
hello, Local District Central families.
sorry about that. So what we're going to do now is you got a quick overview around return to school, a presentation called Back to Better. And it outlined a little bit about our return to in-person coming this fall. The beginning of the school year starts on August 16th. And again, the takeaways from today's presentation are that we're coming back full-time in person. And we're also providing additional supports and services to meet students' needs. And then also following safety protocols. We know that for the safety protocols, things like testing, regular testing, all those components will continue. And again, the other takeaway is that we're following the guidelines from health authorities, from the CDC, and making sure that our schools are safe safe as possible, and making sure that we have those high expectations. So we're going to go to Q&A just for a moment, and let's see what questions might be coming up. So there's a question about having options for virtual. So as you heard in the presentation, we do have the City of Angels school right now as an option for those families that might have particular needs to still be in an online program and maybe not ready to return to full in-person. At this time, the option that is being provided is the City of Angels program, and they will review the unique needs of your child and the learning opportunities, and they're offering that from kindergarten through 12th grade. So for the parent that has that question on the screen, that's sharing on the Q&A at this time, yes, that is the only program that's being offered. Regarding additional teachers for secondary schools and how those are going to be allocated, the only information I have right now is it's going to vary, right, based on the needs of students, a number of students. So it's hard for me to say, well, every secondary school will have this amount of teachers. It will be determined by the needs of the school, number of students, programs that are being offered. So I know there will be a formula for that, but it won't be where I can say every single school is getting X amount of teachers. It'll all depend on their needs and their numbers, particular at their schools. I also have a question about number of students in each classroom. And again, that's a very general question, but we know that we're gonna follow the guidelines as far as the number of students that's safe to return in each classroom. And then again, you have classrooms that have different norming. So depending on whether you're in elementary school or in high school, maybe you're in a specialized program, those might vary, but again, they will follow the guidelines that we're required to. So that will vary, but it will follow those guidelines. There's also a question, I think there's various questions around that classroom size. I think that's the information that we have right now. And then there's another question about how often we will be asking both staff or students to take the COVID-19 test. So we do have someone here from operations, and maybe if you have an answer to that question, Ms. Michelle, if you're able to answer that question.
Sorry, which question were you looking at, Teresa?
How often will they have to test, have the COVID-19 tests?
So
students be able to do that?
Yeah, so right now, currently, we're trying to get kids tested every week by sending the mobile units to the schools where the students are in person. Sorry about that. We're going to follow the guidelines that the LA County Office of Public Health and the CDC put out. So it could change between now and fall. But right now it's every week to every other week. So in some cases, the mobile unit isn't able to go to each school every week. So every 14 days is what we're currently doing. And we hope to keep that up. Again, if CDC guidelines change, if the LA County Department of Health guidelines change and we're, and we don't have to get tested so often anymore, then, that'll end. But for right now, it's every 2 weeks, every week to 2 weeks.
Okay, and as we know, as we're looking at, what we're currently facing, this is all continuing and guided by where we're at in place and time. So we know that we're at a place where we're returning to full in-person, but we also know that those changes between now and the fall might differ from what we have currently, right? So we know that we're trying to open up more. So there's questions about mask wearing and also about class size. So those will all be determined more as we come closer to fall, but we know that we're following those guidelines. Ms. Gorsuch, what about mask wearing? Do you have any updates about whether or not students will be wearing masks when they return to school?
So I don't know yet. Again, it's going to really depend on what happens between now, but it's really only just a couple months away. So I imagine since we're wearing masks now, that will probably continue unless we get guidance, like I said, from the CDC or from the LA County Department of Public Health saying that, you know, people no longer need to wear masks. It may also depend, especially like in elementary schools, whether vaccines become available for students younger than 12 or not, because, you know, the vaccine really makes a difference in keeping everybody safe from COVID. So we just kind of have to wait and see. So for now, just kind of plan on, you know, things being the way they are now, except all in person. And then as we get closer to that time, all of those things will be clarified based on what's going on at that time.
So yes, and this has kind of been a place where we've been, you know, even in our own everyday lives, as we're out and about in the community, you know, we're guided by the most recent numbers of cases. We're guided by where we live and what's been implemented. So we want to make sure that we keep ourselves as safe as possible, that students return to school an environment where we're taking all the precautions to make sure both students and staff are safe. And again, you know, the mask wearing, the number of students, we will follow those guidelines, ensuring that that we stick to those schedules and make sure that we stick to those protocols that we need to have in place. Another thing that will continue is our daily pass. You know, so if you have not already registered, maybe you have your child still working from home, it would be very important for you to get the parent portal, connecting to some of the applications that you would need. And that's why our team is here to help and assist, and making sure that when we do return in the fall, that you have access to all those tools of return to campus. We're excited that we'll be seeing all our students have the opportunity to return. And then again, for those that are not able to, you still might have some students and some families that prefer that online option that will only be provided through the City of Angels school program. Let me see, again, we're seeing that how many kids in the classroom is kind of one of the top questions. Also the COVID-19. There was one question around if my child has already been fully vaccinated, would they still be required to do the testing? And again, like Ms. Gorsuch said, right now, for those of us that are vaccinated, we're still required to do our testing. So at this time, that's kind of where we're at, where we're still doing that test, even if we're vaccinated. So that will continue until we hear otherwise. And at this time, that's the information that we have. Ms. Gorsuch, is there anything you would like to add about that?
No, but I did notice there was another question in the chat about where students can be tested at. So I'll just give you a quick little explanation about that. So there are a lot of different sites within the district. So what you can do is go on to LAUSD's testing, COVID testing. And when you get onto their website, it will show you all of the sites that are open daily. So we have these standing sites. So students who have not been back for in-person testing would need what we call a baseline test. So what that means is if they haven't been tested yet, they would go and get a test at one of our standing testing sites. And once they test negative, then they can enter campus. Now, once they enter campus, what we're doing right now is we're having mobile units actually go to the school site, and that's where they'll get their weekly or bi-monthly tests. So it'll be either every week or every 14 days. That mobile testing unit goes to the school site and tests all of the students that are at the school as well as the staff. So the first time you get tested, the student gets tested, they would need to go to one of our standing testing sites. And then once you have that negative test and you're able to enter campus, at that point, you'll get tested every week automatically with the mobile unit that comes to the school site. So the first one's kind of a pain because you have to go somewhere to get it. But after that, it's real easy.
You're correct, Ms. Gorsuch, and that's an important point because we know we have not all students have returned to campus at this time, and so we want to make sure that we're fully prepared, that that you kind of have that and keep that in mind as you're planning that return to campus for fall. A very important piece is doing that baseline data for testing for COVID-19, and then also making sure you have that daily pass accessible, which you'll get through the parent portal. So I have a parent that's asking that, and so I just want to reiterate that yes, you will still need the daily pass, and the daily pass is a way for us to know that anyone entering the school has that ability to enter with ease, and we have a place and space that's safe for both employees and staff, and that we're current with our testing. So yes, we will continue to do that. And again, want to reiterate, we have more parents asking about the virtual education or that online option. So no, the online option at this time is not going at every single school site. It'll only be offered through the City of Angels program. And so again, we're returning full in person. And so the expectation would be that that you would go to your school of residence or a magnet program, depending on which schools your child is scheduled to attend. But if you would prefer to have an online only, then it would only be through the City of Angels program. So we have a parent that really likes our elementary kind of staggered pickup times for each grade level. Felt that it worked out really great. It was less congested when dropping off and picking up. So we'll certainly be looking at those best practices, right? We know that if you're a parent that also has children already back in person, there's a staggered schedule for pickup, for drop off, so that students are entering at a time where we're not all kind of together coming in. We want to make sure that we keep that social distancing, that it's safe when you drop off your child. And again, just that ease of drop off and pickup. So there's lessons learned through this first phase of return to school as we're ending the school year, and those best practices will be taken into account as we return to that full schedule. We're returning better and stronger, but we also know that there's still things that are gonna remain that are different, and just based on the needs that we have out there for health and safety for all of us. And so yes, thank you for doing that. And I know there's some voices that feel maybe not having had enough voice in this process, but please note that during our town halls, getting feedback from families, having either multiple meetings to hear some of your questions, some of your concerns, and some of your voice. So we'll leave information for you if you feel that maybe you haven't been able to voice some of your concerns. You can certainly connect to us, and at the end of this presentation, we'll give you our information so you can continue to do that. Again, we're preparing to return, so you can certainly give us your voice, and all voices matter and are important, and you should be heard, and we want to make sure that you feel that you've been heard. Also, I'm not sure I can answer this question, and Ms. Gorsuch, I'm not sure if you have an answer for this. If a child goes on an out-of-state trip, would that change, or do we still have to wait a certain amount of days before they return to campus?
So it could change, in the next couple of months, but right now the way it works is if you travel out of state or out of the country, when you return, you need to quarantine for 10 days. Now, if you go to one of our testing sites, you don't have any symptoms, and you go to one of our testing sites and you test negative for COVID, then you would only need to quarantine for 7 days. But what I need to advise is, like, let's say you travel, you come back to Los Angeles, and then the very next day you go and get tested. That's not going to work, because if you were on an airplane, there's a little bit of lag time between, if you caught that virus showing up on the test. So return to LA, wait 2 to 3 days before you go get COVID tested, then get COVID tested. And if the test comes out negative, then you only have to quarantine for 7 days. Okay, without a test, you would have to quarantine for 10 days. So that's how it is right now. And like I said, that could change depending on what happens out there in the world with COVID. But, you know, we'll keep you guys updated as the information changes.
So we, again, I'm looking at some of the questions that are coming in. We also have parents that still might not feel comfortable. Maybe they're, you know, every family has a unique perspective, has had a unique experience during this time. And so again, you know, for those parents that want to have that voice and are letting us know, you know, we have voices that are like, we want to return, we're ready, like, let's get this going. We want full in-person already. And we have folks that are still very kind of on the fence about this, you know, return to school, even thinking ahead for the fall. So that's why we're offering that online program offering for those families that still might need to continue on online learning. You don't have to have an IEP or special needs in any way for you to be able to go to that online option. So please know, I know there's a parent that's expressing discomfort about returning. And so you still have that option. Again, you know, you have a spectrum of different spaces and places and experiences that parents and families have faced. And so that's why we're here to let you know what your options are and being able to get that information ahead of time by connecting to the City of Angels program to see if that might be a better fit for you and your family as you're thinking about returning to school in the fall. Again, just a variety of voices around that. And let me see. So we also have questions about orientation. So during a regular school year, we would have orientations for families. I know each school is planning their return to campus. We know that for this year, you know, it was very difficult. We have some students that we haven't met in person still that have never been at the school sites. And so I'm sure your schools will be providing that information for you, orientation meetings, et cetera, that will be happening like we do on a yearly basis. And again, being able to do that in the safest way possible. I'm looking at the questions that are coming in. So again, families are a little confused between that online option. So some families are still doing that online option at home, but they're directly connected to their school that their students are attending. In the fall, that is not where we're going to be. In the fall, we're expecting to come back to full in-person return. So for those that still might be again on the fence, I just want to let you know that the only option that we have at this time would be going to the City of Angels program with our district. I have the question coming in again about the mask. At this time, the masks are still something that we're being asked to continue. And again, unless those guidelines change, then we would be informing parents and families about the mask wearing requirements. Also at this time, being vaccinated is not something that is mandatory. Ms. Gorsuch, please, if you have anything to add about that, but there is one parent asking it, is it mandatory for students to be vaccinated?
No, at this time, LA Unified is not mandating vaccines. However, we will require that the student have a negative COVID test before returning to campus in person, just to make sure everybody is safe. At this time, we are not requiring vaccines.
And then again, someone's asking, do we do outreach to the school site for more outreach for the online instruction? So you can certainly call the school site to learn more about what the structure is going to be for your school. But right now, if it's an online instructional piece that you're thinking about, it wouldn't be your school site. It would be the City of Angels program, the City of Angels school. And that would give us or you enough time to be able to explore that option and see if that's something that would work for you and your family. We're no longer going to be doing the hybrid from each school site. It would be only in person. And then parents have concerns if they don't return in person, is that going to affect the students? The only thing that will be different is that you would, if you choose to do online, it would be done through a different school, through their program. So attendance and all of that would still count, the expectations of completing coursework and, being on that pathway for graduation and all of that would still be in place. Again, so if someone can drop on the chat, we can drop the website for City of Angels. And that way, if you're interested, you can review their website, be able to connect with them and see what that might look like for your child. So the online program you would work with the City of Angels will also have credit-bearing classes. And so those it's almost the same as if you moved in the middle of the year and you went to another school site. You would still have those credit requiring classes for graduation, especially if you're in middle school and you're high school, and then your grades also. So yes, the program will continue to provide those opportunities. And then you would also be able to monitor through the parent portal the classes your child is taking, what they need, and you will work collaboratively, whether it's with your home site, with the counselors, or with City of Angels. That's something that you want to kind of keep on top of and abreast as a parent, and being informed about where your child is at for those requirements. So you would, easily be able to monitor that and your Schoology programs through online or in person. So we have a great question about, if I choose online, would I be able to choose return to campus, to our regular school site? So Ms. Gorsuch, I don't know if I have all the details about that, or if you might be able to answer that. What I know that we've experienced now is that we all were able to come from online back to in-person and in-person back to online. But remember, for us to return to on-campus, there is that transition that needs to happen. And based on what we've experienced at this time, we do need to be prepared to make sure that we have the space, that we have everything in place for students as they return. So there would be some transition for that. Ms. Gorsuch, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, the question I see is whether if you could do both City of Angels and, regular in-person instruction. No, they're two separate programs.
Mm-hmm.
So you would do either or. So it's not something that you can use for extra credit or anything like that. So you would choose, if you want your child to remain online, then you would go through the City of Angels program. If you want your child to be in person, then you would go to your regular, resident or resident school or your school of attendance. So they're separate programs. And then I saw also a lot of questions about whether City of Angels is part of LA Unified. They are part of LA Unified, but it is a separate program from what the other schools do. I hope that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we had someone else, I think there's various questions around it, but yes, shift, they particularly want to know if they could shift. So I think the shifts can happen. It's just that there is that transition period to make sure we're transitioning students back into their regular school program. They would be enrolled in the City of Angels program. So again, it's almost like transferring from one school to another during the middle of the year when you move, for example. So there would be some transitioning. Okay, so the City of Angels program, they'd like to know what the differences are. So there's two options. If you return to campus, of course, following all the protocols, then you would have the program that you would see at your home school. If you go to the City of Angels program, you're choosing an online program. And again, it's a K through 12 program. So I would encourage you to reach out to the City of Angels program, find out in particular for your grade level, for your child's needs, and kind of what you're looking for, what that program might look like, because it's basically some online support with teachers, and then some independent programming during the day. So it mirrors a lot of what you see now, but they would be able to give you those individualized explanations based on what you're looking for. And of course, by grade level, because they serve K through 12. Okay. So yes, again, City of Angels program is a district program, a district school program. And we're putting the website for you to be able to connect to the City of Angels School. They also have a number there and people that you can reach out to. Okay. So, Ms. Gorsuch, do we still have the test besides the nasal swab test? Do we have the other option of with saliva? I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for what they call it. When they're doing
Saliva
it.
test is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of our testing sites have both. Probably the easiest one to do is the one where you put the Q-tip up your nose. It's not that comfortable. It tickles a little, makes you want to sneeze, but it's really not that bad. If you want to do the saliva test, you can request it at the testing site and they will provide it. I think it's a little bit harder to do. I think you have to, I know this sounds gross, but I think you have to spit quite a lot in that little vial to do the saliva test. But I know that there are some kids that have, special sensitivities and things that don't want to do the nasal swab. But yes, both are available. I think the nasal swab's probably easy. If you just practice it a couple times, it's not so bad.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to find, folks that are our panelists, I have folks that are behind the scenes trying to answer questions. Like, is there any question that we think that besides the online City of Angels questions, do you see any questions that I haven't answered or that,
Ms. Regina, I'm not sure if this one has been already answered. If a child needs to quarantine, will they be marked absent while at home?
that's a great question. Ms. Gorsuch, what is the protocol if you have that information, or it might be something I need to follow up with?
That might be something we need to follow up with, because I'm assuming this question is for in the fall, not for right now. Right now, it's a little easier. I mean, we only have 3 days of school left, so this is for a fall question. So I think we probably need to follow up on that one. Right now, if you're quarantining, you could still learn online, right? But that won't probably be an option unless you're enrolled at City of Angels next year. So we might have to get more information about that and get back to you guys on that. Also, attendance is not really my area of expertise. So if we have any PSAs on here or anybody else that can answer the question, go ahead and jump in.
Okay.
There are some questions about classroom size and what the school day would look like.
So I think earlier we did respond to the class size, and it's very difficult. Our norming is different in elementary school than it is in high school, also for our early ed students. So for us to be able to give you a number is wouldn't be exact, right? But for the most part, what we're looking at numbers is what is safe to do so in each class. So right now we know that we follow those guidelines, and it'll depend on how many students we could have per classroom based on the size of the classroom, based on the program, based on the needs. So we will follow those protocols for designing or developing those classrooms. And then usually what we do is, we've been hosting town halls. We will continue to do so as we get more information. So please know this isn't just a one-time town hall or informational piece that we're doing during Tech Talks. You'll probably see more right before, in the middle of the summer, and you'll be welcome to connect with us. We'll be able to answer more questions. We'll see kind of where we're at, and then be able to be more responsive with questions around the City of Angels program, for example, which I know that there's a lot of questions about. So I want to make sure that you have that responded to.
I see a question from a student. I think it's from a student. I'm wondering what PE is going to look like next year. And I wish I had an answer for you, but we're not quite sure yet. I think the goal is, to try to have everything kind of go back to how it was, only better. So if the CDC and the LA County Department of Public Health say that it's okay for us to go ahead and start doing PE and doing changing and, being in the locker rooms and all of that, then we'll definitely do it. But I think it's just going to be another one of those things where time will tell, and we kind of just have to wait until we get a little closer to August to know exactly what our PE programs and, what our lunch is going to look like and recess and those kinds of things. So give it a little more time. I know it's hard to be patient and it's hard to plan when you don't know what's going on, but I don't know, after a year and a half of this, I'm kind of getting used to things changing in a day or two. So hang in there, everybody.
Yeah. So I also have questions around learning loss, right? So we know that earlier in the presentation, we talked about, being able to have additional services. So we heard parents loud and clear. I know that with focus groups and through our town halls, there was a lot of need for mental health services. There's also a lot of need, like there's a parent concerned about learning loss. So as you heard in the presentation earlier, or if you joined us later in the presentation, for elementary school, for example, we're having the Primary Promise program that also brings additional supports for schools directly by having additional teachers to help support that piece, right? We know that there's been learning loss. Some students were affected more than others. And so that's why we're putting all those systems in place, additional teachers in the secondary programs, and then additional supports for mental health, because we know those have been a big impact. So what I'm going to do next is for the team behind the scenes, let's answer as many questions as we can. Some of them you're being able to see as we respond to them, and we've responded to them verbally. But I'd also like to look at, for those of you that are concerned about learning loss and maybe looking at summer school, we have a lot of options for you. So as a transition, as we're kind of closing out the school year and we're looking for summer of learning. Last year we did the same thing, but there were a lot of lessons learned about what we did last summer. So we will have summer community of schools programs, TK through 8th grade at your community of schools. So we know that we have smaller community of schools closer to home. We're going to be offering TK to 8th grade programs at our community schools. We're also going to be, you've heard a lot about the Beyond the Bell summer programs, also for TK through 8th. There's a summer enrichment program that I'm really excited to share with you. We know that students during the summer are excited to join and learn about different things. So I'll explore that a little bit with you. There also is an Edgenuity program for middle school. The KLCS program for summer will continue. Also a great resource is the Summer Reading Challenge with the LA Public Library. We also have Summer Term, which is a high school credit recovery program. And then also the regular extended school year program for special ed programs, migrant education summer program, an international newcomer enrichment summer program. And I think those are it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on here. And if somebody on the team can actually put in the link for the Summer of Learning program, that would be great. That way you can explore it on your own. I'm just going to do an overview. Now, please, somebody on the team, can you tell me if I'm sharing my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, you're able to see the Summer of Learning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gorsuch. So there's a lot of opportunities for summer learning. So some of you might be worried about, my child is maybe not on track to graduate, he's in 11th grade, or we need some supports, or even 12th grade trying to finish up summer school programs this summer. There's a lot of opportunities for you to have your child attend some of our programs if you're concerned about learning loss or catching up on some of those classes. So the community schools has that TK through 8th grade program. It starts June 22nd to July 23rd. Now we have applications. So if you see here, enroll.lausd.net/summer costs for you to be able to apply. And this is an on-campus and online options available. So for those parents that were saying we still kind of are on the fence about this and what's going to happen in the summer. So summer is still offering those two options, on campus and online options are available. So please connect This program also has that extended learning. So if you can go to summer school from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon, and then you can continue Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. with the Beyond the Bell program. So it's a full serve program as far as being able to be on campus or online, and it's available from the academic portion from 8:30 to 12, and the Beyond the Bell program from 12 to 6. We also have Beyond the Bell summer programs from 8 to 6. So let's say you're not maybe going to participate in the program I just mentioned here, which is the summer community schools. Maybe your child is on track. Maybe you're looking for some support just in the Beyond the Bell program. The Beyond the Bell program is being offered from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday this summer. So there is a list. So if you look here, there's an online application, and then you would click on Beyond the Bell summer programs. Let me try it. I've already been there, and I just wanted to show you. And please let me know, since I'm on the screen, do you now see a list of schools?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So here you would see the names of the schools, information, contact information, a bit.ly to connect to. If you're wondering, like I was when I went in there, why do I see two different color codes here with the names of the schools? And of course, this list is throughout our LAUSD, not just local district central, but I know that we have most of our families here are here from local district central, and some families that have maybe two districts that they have their children attending. If it's in blue, that program is only being offered from 12 to 6. And if it's in this kind of yellowish mustard color highlight, that program from Beyond the Bell is being offered from 8 to 6. So not every school has the 8 to 6 offer for Beyond the Bell programs. But as you see here, every school does have an opportunity to have that Beyond the Bell program. I'm going to go back to where I was, and let me see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back. Do you see now where I went? See, then I start going off on these changes, and here. Ms. Gorsuch, are we back to where it says Summer of Learning?
Yes, you are. Summer of Learning.
Well, thank you. This
You're
technology, I just want to make sure that when I click, I don't lose you. Okay. So this is another place where I want to click. So last year we had these great programs for summer enrichment. These are classes of interest to your child. I love the opportunity that's here. So if somebody can drop this link, it's enrichment.lausd.net. And when I'm done reviewing this summer program piece, I want to share with you our local district design ones because it's our local district. But there's tons of things to connect to in the summer enrichment program. Lots of fun programs. And if you want to apply, you just click here. But I want you to know that it's grouped by elementary school, like you see the grade levels here. And look at all that's offered. Kids Cooking Academy, mock trial, public speaking, fashion design, French enrichment, world languages. There's lots of fun classes. Now, enrichment programs are only online. And if you see here, it tells you the days and the time frames. Get in tune, let's make music. And it goes on and on. The farther down you go. These are there's very few that are in the enrichment program that are for credit. Most of these are not for credit. They're very few, but there'll be tons of opportunities for you. Game design. I know this one got full really quickly last year. Careers to explore, my future, ingenuity. You're starting to see more of the 6th through 8th grade courses. There's some for the 6th through 8th grade that count for credit course. But most of enrichment does not have credit bearing support. They're just to engage, to learn more. And these are the ones that local district central is offering or at least hosting. So these are hosted from throughout our district. Local districts are hosting these sessions. You can go to any one of them. Again, they're online only, but these are from our local district. The K-pop, Korean history, Mexican history. We'll share more. I have one more slide to share with you. Okay, I'm looking at my time. Salvadorian history. We have folks from and students from different countries. And even if you just want to learn about a new country and their history, just there's a lot of ways to connect with our families. So again, there's different, explore what's on here. Middle school, these are courses that middle schoolers can take, and you can click here for offerings and brochures. The summer programming, you click here for their schedule. Same thing with the public library. And this is a very important one. If you're in need of high school credit recovery, we don't want students to fall behind and that learning loss, you would need to connect to your child's school for enrollment directly in that credit recovery course. Please do not miss out. The counselors are still here, but if once school ends on Friday, we might not have the full staff. We do have staff that's still supporting that credit recovery. We do not want kids not being able in high school to recover some of their courses that they need. And if you have a child with that has extended school year in special education programs, there's some critical deadlines to return, like whether or not you're going to be participating. That information is here too. And if you have the parent portal and you have ESY and you want to say yes to ESY, yes, your child will be attending, please remember it's really quick and easy to do it through the parent portal. If you're a migrant student, and there's also programs, and these are programs for students that have worked in, families have worked with migrant education programs. There's lots of opportunities there. And there's also an international newcomer enrichment summer program, which is really great for all of our newcomers as they're getting acclimated to our school system, to a new state, a new country, a new everything. That must be overwhelming during this time. So again, just some time frames to connect. Well, with that, I think I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint. So here we go, my plug-in to Summer of Learning. As you just saw, we reviewed the Summer Enrichment Program. Local District Central is hosting these Summer Enrichment programs for 6th through 8th grade students. We offer cultural heritage, learning about history and traditions for our Armenian, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Mexican, Pan-African, and Salvadoran. If anybody's interested in learning more about the rich history and culture of any of these, please sign up today. I'm excited to have people join us. And I'm excited to join them too, to be honest with you, and learn more. So with that, I'm looking at our time. We've taken questions and answer. I'll stay on for a moment. If you're interested in the vaccination program, if team, if you can please drop that on the chat for our vaccination program. This is where you would connect. You could look at Local District Central or any of the local districts where it's closest and most convenient to you. We want to make sure that anyone that is ready and would like to get that vaccination for yourself, for your family, please connect with us here and visit that website. Also, for those families that might be in need, we know that there's a lot of critical needs out there with our families. Information about if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to come back in the fall and I need to be connected to that daily pass, that parent portal, I don't know what to do, and I might need help with all that, please contact our hotline, 213-443-1300. And last but not least, if you still have questions, we will do the best that we can to connect you with the right information, with the right people, and be able to answer your questions as best as possible at this, based on where we're at in this space and time. And then also be on the lookout for additional town halls and more informational sessions during the summer. We'll have more solidified information based on kind of where we're at and all the guidelines that come in. Please be patient. We know that it's been a really, really tough year. For many of our families, suffering loss, uncertainty, and then just being eager to return to some kind of normalcy. We're hoping to be able to have that and offer that as best as possible to each one of your families. Please connect to us, send us your voice. We do take all into consideration. And today I learned a lot of, it gives us an idea of what is important to you and what questions you have, so that we're better prepared and we know what information you need as we're hosting more of these sessions and more town halls. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody for joining us today. Ms. Gorsuch, thank you for connecting. Our operations team has really been at the forefront. No matter what happened, that team was out there, Ms. Gorsuch. So thank you.
Oh, well, you're
and all the
welcome.
Operations team, because you were out there.
We love helping out. That's what we do. And we love it. So you're most welcome anytime.
Kudos to our operations team, even during the summer, even at the peak of the pandemic, even with all that certainty, they were out there delivering food, making sure that students had technology. Just a huge, just an honor to work with all these folks who made it happen to our students and families. So with that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in our Tech Talks and more. Thank you for allowing me to learn alongside you. And thank you for your patience with all that we do and all these changes and all these pivots. It's always a pleasure to be with you and our families. I'm going to stop share. And thank you. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the